Hey guys, it's Wheeling the Gamer Girl here, and today we are actually going to discuss an episode from SpongeBob. So if you don't know this episode very well, I'll tell you. So this is actually an episode from season 6, episode 104B. So if you don't know this episode, it's gone. So it's actually after the episode Not Normal, which is paired up with it. So yeah, this is actually one of the worst episodes ever, and basically, yes, this and also Not Normal are the only two episodes in which SpongeBob cries. So yeah, so in this episode, SpongeBob woke up one day to find out that everybody, and I mean everyone, has been gone. And as you all may know about this, SpongeBob actually does wake up to find out that Gary has been missing, and soon discovers that he's the only one left in Bikini Bottom. At first, he tries this hard to take in panic. He runs around town in a desperate attempt to find everybody, but there is no avail. While the others didn't return, SpongeBob decides to live out everyone's life for them, making them a bubble version of themselves in his front yard. And then he runs to the top floor of Squidward's house that he pretends to be Squidward, yelling at SpongeBob for making too much noise. He then runs to the Krusty Krab to imitate Squidward and Mr. Krabs. He then imitates Patrick on his rock, Sandy at a tree tomb, and then he runs to the boating school to imitate Mrs. Puff. In the classroom, he realizes that they live out everyone's lives at work will not work out, and then he starts crying in his desk. So his mood actually changes quickly, and when he discovers the stack of blank driver license, he takes a picture of himself and prints out his own license, and then takes off with the student test, naming it Bodie, joyriding it throughout the city. SpongeBob and Bodie actually became inseparable best friends. The latter actually sleeps with the boat and parks it inside both of his house and the Krusty Krab. SpongeBob goes insane because of that. He doesn't have anyone to talk to, and Bodie realizes this in his closet. SpongeBob has entered a puppet out of a raw Krabby Patty meat, which he carries out the conversation with the Patty Patrick that warns him that he cannot talk because Bodie is listening. He goes crazy from the sight from the motor vehicle because when the bus comes, he grabs the fire axe from the cinema to chop the bus which approaches him. However, to anyone's surprise, everybody in Bikini Bottom comes out. Mr. Krabs tells SpongeBob because of the mysterious disappearance that it was a really holiday that actually celebrates a day called No SpongeBob Day. So No SpongeBob Day is actually an episode which appears in the episode Gone. So everybody in Bikini Bottom, except for the little sponge, actually leave the day to enjoy some time without him. Normally, it does last one day in the episodes. However, it does last for a few weeks because of the inhabitants that actually over-enjoyed themselves for having a fun time without SpongeBob's presence. Soon when everyone comes home and to explain that SpongeBob, what was going on, they actually leave to celebrate No Patrick Day as well, because it was actually the end of the episode, and it happens right after the holiday No SpongeBob Day in the final scene of the episode Gone. So the Bikini Bottomies go back to the bus as Patrick tries to join, but SpongeBob does put Patrick back, and sadly Patrick immediately gets where he was, and that's how the episode ends. So the holidays actually foreshadowed in Sleepy Time, when Squidward says, "Don't we get enough with you during the day?" And on No National SpongeBob Day, they built a wooden effigy of SpongeBob and then burn it. They dance on top of the ashes. This is a reference to the Burning Man, which is actually used as a tradition in the US. And as well as this, that was actually the end of the episode as well. I'll just say the episode was actually worse because one, I didn't know that the Bikini Bottom people disappeared, and SpongeBob did impersonate Squidward, Mr. Krabs, Patrick, Sandy, Mrs. Puff, and Old Man Jenkins, and then he does imitate some of them as well. Like SpongeBob is Mr. Krabs' form for the full body in The Boss of the Day, and actually SpongeBob has Mr. Krabs' form, only his half body in the episode. Although Gary, Plankton, and Pearl are the only main characters to not appear in the episode, and SpongeBob didn't imitate them, and Gary actually did appear in the episode, but he was actually mentioned when SpongeBob finds him missing. Gary is nowhere to be seen, and when everyone returns at the end, we don't actually see him. And yes, that was actually the second episode where SpongeBob actually imitates Mr. Krabs. The first episode was actually Shell of Man, and it was followed by Mimic Madness. And as well as this, why should this episode be gone? This is a very cruel SpongeBob torture episode, as he's actually treated as the victim according to the writers of the episode that actually hate the little sponge. All the characters, that is except for SpongeBob, are unlikable and mean-spirited in the episode, as they abandoned the sponge and they actually wanted to use a statue of him, meaning they wanted to hurt him, but they hold a grudge of things. Everyone treated as he never existed. They didn't care about him, and they thought it was okay to abandon SpongeBob. They were also selfish as they didn't want to bring SpongeBob on the trip because of the flaws. While it's understandable for Squidward Tentacles and Mrs. Puff to actually abandon SpongeBob because how much they despise him, how much they are cruel to the little sponge to treat him like that. Patrick, who is actually his best friend, Sandy, who is also one of his second best friends, Gary, the loyal pet snail, and Mr. Krabs, who likes him a lot because of his best employee, often treat him like his son, and the reasoning why they left him is because he was annoying, and basically saying that everyone deserves a break from him, but in reality, he's a nice person. This is actually the early sign of Patrick's flanderization, even if one can understand that this is a high douche level from all the Bikini Bottomites for driving SpongeBob 2. And as Far Cry 3 Voss said, the definition of insanity, pointing out to how Season 6B and 7 have the title character much as an annoying idiot, in which they did to the sponge is beyond cruel. As they said, some of the nice characters from Sandy ditch him because he's annoying, despite SpongeBob didn't do anything to her. And it's possible that the SpongeBob statue got burnt, which was constructed when SpongeBob saved Bikini Bottom from Plankton in the first movie back in 2004. If this is actually true, yes, the episode would be even more cruel to SpongeBob. Thanks to the TV trope summary of the episode, this is SpongeBob's old family that also went to the Bikini Bottomite. This episode actually made it more cruel to SpongeBob. The moral is cruel to kids because it's actually basically intentionally teaching kids because it is okay to abandon someone because of their flaws. Just because somebody is different doesn't mean you can abandon them. This is one of the reasons why people do that in some episodes. Do they really want to imitate them? Of course not. This episode is actually one of the worst episodes before, and I think I have watched it before, so I just do believe that this episode is the worst. No one besides Patrick gets a free chromosome for abandoning SpongeBob. They don't even learn their lesson, and it's just scot-free. Besides, from the being mean-spirited, the writing is actually most of the season 6 to 8 episodes. This is actually lazy because this is being a huge note with the shift of the pilot of SpongeBob being the only person, as the creators didn't want to try to put any creative effort from the writing. This example came where SpongeBob pretended to be somebody else in the Bikini Bottom, but the pilot actually did switch to him stealing a boat from boarding school, and his only friend to find out that Bodhi is even evil, and by told that the Patrick dummy is made of Krabby Patties in the closet. Bodhi found out it was him. And yes, every March 2nd, thanks to the Twitter post of the ending, was a horrible thing to do. But there are also some redeeming qualities as well. SpongeBob is actually the only likable character in the episode. And Patrick, yes, in the final episode, as SpongeBob pushed his best friend off the boat, Patrick was the only one that got his karma because he abandoned his best friend. Compared to Who What Bob Hands, SpongeBob wasn't actually used as a scapegoat. So, they just said like how to fix this episode. Have SpongeBob give everyone to abandon them for the taste of his own medicine, or have him snap at everyone in the episode very, very angry. To have the ending reveal, which was a game of hide and seek, or the planned party surprise for him, you can make this event turn out into a nightmare that did not leave anyone at all. Make the title card have no music. It may look bad, but it's actually least fitting. And as well as this, have the stunt doubles for his friends that those dogs can bite back. The Patrick Star Show had been written for episodes for the main SpongeBob SquarePants series. Stunt would somehow unfortunately rehash the double stunt shtick. Ironically, yes, this episode has been paired up with the legendary famous episode Not Normal, which is also part of the anti-SpongeBob Wikipedia. So actually, yes, that was actually one of the reasons why. It was actually because they actually do have another wiki called an anti-SpongeBob wiki. And actually, it's all about the episodes where these episodes weren't as bad. They were actually very famous, and some of them are not bad. So yes, so the anti-SpongeBob Wikipedia does have a lot of these episodes which were actually good and which are actually above average. So yeah, that was actually one of the reasons why SpongeBob was actually, being treated as an outcast. He was being treated as, becoming mean and cruel-spirited because of his friends, including, Patrick Star. So yeah, I do believe that's the episode right here, and I do believe that was actually the worst episode. And imagine if the episode actually did air on Nickelodeon Asia. Well, I don't see a reason why that episode would air, but I do believe that they have removed it. If I'm not 100% mistaken, I can actually check it out, and I don't know if they removed it. That's the thing. Probably in Southeast Asia they did, but I'm not 100% sure for other countries as well. Because I do believe that from Nickelodeon Southeast Asia, yes, they do have new episodes, but they will not show the old episodes unless they have to. And that was actually one of the reasons why they don't show the old episodes anymore. Because of some reason, they do show some old episodes, and sometimes they don't. So it actually depends on the TV schedule that you're using. So yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why they would do that. Anyways, I think that's all for now, and this is me signing off.